Welcome to the Oxygen Alliance YouTube channel, where we bring you videos on installation, maintenance, and various trainings on oxygen equipment and devices. If you have comments and or questions, drop them in the comment section below or write to us info@oxygenalliance.org. Remember to like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining this call. My name is Janet Douglas, and I'm a biomedical engineer with Oxygen Alliance. I'm joining this call from Lilongwe, Malawi, and I would like to know where you're joining us from by typing in your name in the chat, as well as your location. So for today, we are having a panel discussion. We have a couple of speakers who have joined us today, and they will give an introduction of who they are and their professional backgrounds before we start the actual discussion. So as you can see, our topic today is about the commissioning and also assessment of donated medical equipment. We know that in the capacity or in the setup of the low and middle income countries, we have had chances to get donations from different medical equipment. So this is the platform where we want to discuss about the landscape, the challenges that are there, and also maybe how can we all come together and solve those problems, and also make sure that whatever it is that we do, us as biomedical engineers and technicians are incorporated before our facilities do accept any donation. So I would like everyone to be very attentive. Please be able to write down anything. If you have any questions, you'll be given a chance to ask those questions in the middle or at the end of the call. And I'd like everyone to be very attentive. So at this point, let me just give the floor to our presenters to do the introductions, and we are starting with Damian. Damian, you can unmute and speak, and once you're done, you hand it over to Khalid. Over to you, Damian.
My name is Masanja Damian Baluhia, country leader for Oxygen Alliance in Tanzania, but also a technical and policy advisor for Touch Health in Tanzania. I'll be one of the presenters. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Damian. Over to you, Khalid, for introductions.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Khalid Wahungu. I'm a biomedical engineer currently in Kenya, that is at ICQ International Children's Hospital, Kijabe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lloyd, over to you for the introductions.
All right, thank you so much, Janet. My name is Lloyd Kaimbe. I'm the biomedical engineering lead for the Oxygen Alliance, and I'm glad to be one of the panelists for this discussion, and I'm hoping it will be a great conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Engineer Urgut, are you in? If you're in, may you please give us the introductions, and then you hand it over to Kenneth.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Joseph Urgut from Kenya, biomedical engineer, currently consulting with AMREF Health Africa, and I'm going to be one of the panelists for tonight in this very important topic. Thank you.
Right. So moving on, the objectives of today is that we share practical experience on the assessment and commissioning of this donated medical equipment. We are also supposed to look at the common challenges, be able to identify them, and also what solutions can we actually come up with based on the setups that we have various locations. And also we need to discuss the roles of biomedical engineers and technicians in ensuring safe and sustainable integration of this donated equipment. And finally, we'll look at real-world scenarios. That's why I said we have very experienced individuals on the panel, and they're going to be highlighting some areas with the experiences that they've had in the areas that they've also worked in. So moving forward, I think the first thing that we need to look at is now the landscape of this donated equipment. And I'd like to ask Damian to just give us an overview of what is the landscape of donated medical equipment currently? What are the most common equipment that are normally being donated, and what can you say about it? Over to you, Damian.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Most welcome. I just introduce you for the sake of those who have just arrived. I'm speaking from Mwanza, Tanzania. As it says, the landscape for this donation, definitely let's ask ourselves, what are the most frequent issues by medical engineers, technicians do encounter when we are talking about the problems, the situations incompatibility. We receive wrong voltage or frequencies. At the range, we know our range that is 230 volts here, 50 required, but we can receive out of that. One of also issues that we encounter as biomates is missing critical components, lack of probes, power cords, patient leads, or essential software and others. In the critical situation, no documentation, absence of user manuals, service manuals, or service history. Some issues that we encounter include obsolete technology. Equipment is no longer supported by the manufacturer. That means spare parts are unavailable. Poor condition. The equipment is non-functional, damaged in transit or near the end of its life cycle. Unsuitable for the environment, too complex for the available technical skills, or not robust enough for local conditions. That's things like heat, dust, humidity. Another issue that we encounter includes expensive consumables. The device works, but the required disposables are unaffordable or unavailable locally. In other words, that you have the equipment, but in real sense, you cannot service it. Another issue is now, apart from that, what do we receive from the donors? We have discussed, we have heard about what we encounter, but what do we receive now? Well, diagnostic equipment, ultrasound machines, X-ray units, ECG, KG machines, patient monitors, but also we receive therapeutic equipment like infusion pumps, ventilators, defibrillators, surgical lights, anesthesia machines, so on and so on. Laboratory equipment also are being donated, which includes microscopes, centrifuges, and analyzers. In our hospitals in these low and middle-income countries, we also receive basic supplies and furniture, hospital beds, examination tables, wheelchairs, also consumables and accessories. Often these are accompanying the major equipments, but sometimes they are sent alone. Now, with this we receive, we can now categorize these donations into two situations. Maybe could you say some donations are good, others are bad. When we say that the donation is good, we mean that it meets clearly defined clinical needs. You are donating to us? Yes. Does it meet the needs? Sure, that's a good donation. Comes with all manuals and accessories. Is full functional and recently serviced. So when we say it's a good donation, we say that the spare parts and consumables are available and affordable. We say that the correspondence with low technical capacity. So it's a good donation if and only if the donation includes budget for shipping and installations. But in some of the donations we receive, I would dare classify them as bad donations. If it just fulfills the donor need to dispose of all the equipment, if it arrives with no documentation or missing parts, yeah, it is a bad donation. If it is broken, obsolete, or requires expensive repairs, you cannot say that you have received a donation if it relies on proprietary parts that cannot be sourced. So again, when you say the donation is bad, it's definitely because it requires specialized training that is not available. And lastly, you could say we classify donations bad also. It leaves the facility to cover all associated costs. These areas, then my other fellows can add up if you have some time. But to me, I think this is all I could now talk about the donation landscape, covering these three. That's the types of donations that are commonly received and what are the most frequent issues that we might encounter with the donation, with donated equipment. You are welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Damien, for that good platform or setup for today's talk. I don't know, our panelists, if there's anything that you can add based on the experiences that you have had apart from what Damien has pointed out. Engineer Lookgood, do you have anything to add or say?
Audible? Thank you.
Yes, you're
Thank
audible.
you, Victor, for the nice introduction. I want to put a few highlights actually before we go deeply into the donation issues. I wanted to challenge ourselves the origination of the word donate in our own terms. It means that a need is being met. So when we find the situation on the ground is different. I know that donation has been very, very, very wide subject to us in East Africa and Africa as a whole, because the origin of donation was that, you know, you give a younger brother what you are not using. Sorry for the background. Give a younger brother what you are not using. That was maybe the original essence of giving. But now it has gone to the extent of, you know, giving even new items. Donation ranges from used items to new ones. So for someone to agree to give something to someone, there must be a habit that has been identified, a habit of lack of something. So we need to know that if it was not for the lack of that specific item, donation will not have also, the word donation will not have also come up. So here we are now, we are looking at possibilities of donations or donations which have all been going on. And we have been given a background of the landscape, what people see with donations. And so over the years, all of us know that some items in healthcare are very, very specialized. You know, they are not just like a television. They are not just like a spanner or a screwdriver. They are equipment that must be assembled. They are equipment that must be put on power. They are equipment that must be the right size. So I would say about assessment of donated equipment. So when an equipment has been donated, whether new or old, we have an eye for the health facilities, which is called biomedical engineering technician. We should look at that equipment first of all, because an equipment comes for a specific purpose. If it is an X-ray machine, it is for radiology imaging. If it is a lab analyzer, it is for blood works. If it is an anesthesia machine, it is for working in the operation theater. Each of them requires its own accessories. Each of them requires its own peculiar operator, trained and certified. In some years back, let us say 25 years ago, we were not accessible to such knowledge. So an equipment could come. It takes more than 1 week just to know even the name of that equipment. What is it meant to do? Is it meant to go to radiology? Is it meant to go to the wards? So it used to be a sea of confusion. But now we are saying the landscape is that we need to know the equipment, and there is opportunity nowadays to talk or to reach the donor so that you even discuss that equipment before it is released, before you say yes. And even WHO has also come in with another formula. Then the second thing is documentation, manuals and service, history and accessories. Some story about the equipment. I remember when you install an equipment, let's say an X-ray machine, and you work on it for 2 weeks and it's not doing anything, then someone tells you, oh, I think that was the problem it had. Yeah. The last one and the one that I wanted to highlight is, the first one I can repeat is know the function of the equipment. There is an opportunity to talk with the donor, whether it is new or old. The second one is documents and history. We should have the history of that equipment and the manuals. Then the third one is, will it be appropriate? Because this world is divided into different voltages, different power supplies, and different temperatures, different climatic conditions. So those are the 3 areas I would say, if someone wants to assess an equipment before they accept, you should consider those 3. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you
for
very
listening
much.
to me.
Thank you very much, Engineer Lukuti. May I also just ask our panelists that when you're speaking, at least try to turn on your camera for some time. I know it might affect the network issues, but you can just turn them on for some time and then you switch them off.
Back to you, Janet.
Yes. So now, Lloyd, if there's anything that you'd like to add about what should biomedical engineers or technicians or even the facility managers themselves check before accepting a donation. Like Engineer Guru was pointing it out, There's no way you can accept something that you know that you're going to be able to handle. Looking at the power ratings, as he mentioned, and also he talked about the documentation. So can you also please highlight other areas, if there's any that is that facilities, the managers, the BMETs can also look at? Over to you, Lloyd.
Right. Thank you so much, Janet. So maybe before I also tackle that question, I just like the point that Engineer Good said, that the donation that we are talking about right now is not mere donation. It's not like donation of our clothes, but it's about medical equipment that that operates with patients. So someone else life depend on that equipment for him or her to survive. So it's really important to actually talk about this, because we can say it's a matter of life and death for our population or for everyone. So yeah, it's really important that we really talk about this indeed. So, to what you have asked, Janet, that about what should the BMET and facility managers check before accepting donations. So yes, as Engineer Good said, before saying yes to any medical equipment donation, it is very important to conduct a careful review to ensure that equipment will be safe, will be functional, and will be sustainable for the conditions at your facility. So I would say that the first thing is to go into planning stage. So this is a stage where the equipment has not yet arrived in your country, and yeah, it hasn't touched your soil, it hasn't touched your facility. So from a biomedical engineer's management perspective, it is important to make sure that you consult any guidelines that are there, any policies that are there. As Engineer Good said, that the World Health Organization has like some policies. I know some other countries have guidelines on donated equipment, but yeah, it's very important that you need to find out about the guidelines for equipment donations that are in our country, so that you also be guided by those policies as well. So yeah, during the first stages, it's actually of ultimate importance that you have adequate communication between the donors and yourself, in order to facilitate an environment where you'll be able to say that I think this equipment is not appropriate for us. So that adequate communication is very, very important before accepting the donation, so that you are sure of what the equipment is about. You know the conditions of the equipment. So through this communication, you'll be able to have those information. So another thing is also to ask yourselves, what is the genuine clinical need for the equipment? Does it really fill the service gap, or it's just something nice to have? All right, thank you. So yeah, as I said, you should be able to really know whether the equipment will be useful to you. So don't just get a donation out of like, okay, they've just given us. So I know most of the times, because you know how a donation is, because maybe because you are poor, you're just accepting anything. But I'm here to say that should not be our mindset. We should critically think about this equipment. We should carefully review this equipment, and yeah, we should not be embarrassed to say that no, this is not appropriate for us. Yeah, so that's what I want to say. And yes, Janet.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think another thing that you have pointed things very well, and I would just like to know, so like if we have moved from the stage where we're saying that we have followed the policies, we need to follow the policies, we need to look at our capabilities, we need to see the power ratings and other things that Engineer Good pointed out. I'd like to know from Engineer Good, what are the key tests that somebody is supposed to perform before putting an equipment into service? I know we have the group of biomedical engineers, there are others that have once received a donation, maybe they've done the test before, and maybe there are also others that never considered doing the testing before, maybe thinking of using the equipment. May you please just elaborate what could be the key tests that should be performed before putting the equipment into service? Overall engineer, good. Like I said, please make sure you turn on your cameras. If you want to shut it off, you can do that along the way. Thank you. Overall engineer, good.
Okay, that's wonderful, Janet, again. And thank you, my colleague Lloyd, for pointing out that equipment undergoes so many phases in life. They have been used, especially if they have been used in a hospital. There are situations where those equipment are supposed to be shipped to a very far country, and they have to cross the sea. They have to cross maybe by flight, and they also have to, be packaged by somebody. Someone has to put them in a crate, in a box, and then crate it. So what will happen is that I know some areas where donation of equipment has taken place where the donor is asked to ask OEM engineers to come and de-install, let's say example, a CT scan, to come and de-install it and pack it for them so that you know how to pack the X-ray tube and how to align it for transport for along all those areas. I know from experience we have had X-ray machines come over, and then you find that the tube has leaked the oil on the shipment, just because nobody knew that it was supposed to be delicately handled. So when the equipment come, you really have to perform physical inspection before you do any functional inspection. Physical for breakage, for leakage, for any part that may be bent or dented. Those are very crucial to operating a machine, and even they may cause a machine to lose calibration. The second one is to do a power-up test, but not without a technical manual. That shows you exactly what power range to use, what to expect the machine to do if you power it up, and what to expect if it is not working well. Then from there, at least if you are happy that the machine can run on the power, then you do the normal biomedical engineering safety test. For example, you analyze the leakage currents, you analyze the earthing, and then you also analyze if the fans are working, the cooling fans. So most important is physical checks. Really, there is no need of installing a CT scan that you can see the edge has really been broken and they have peeled off all the covers. That means something is terribly wrong. Circuit boards may be dented, so the continuity is no longer there. There is no sense in powering up a machine that the circuit boards have already been dented. And I think the list is long. For example, now, if you test a machine and it runs, but there are so many errors, and you try to relay the errors to the manual, and then now the manufacturer is no longer in contact. So it becomes tough to test a machine like that. But really, you follow those steps, your machine should be able to give you the best service if you follow those simple steps for donated, even if it is a new machine. I have had situations where a new machine has been shipped. During the forklifting, there could be a little hint, hitting the back of a truck or hitting something on the bumpy roads. And so it breaks some of the twisting or swivel parts. So there is no reason why you should actually go ahead without doing now a major check, because some of the cables, they pass through those swiveling parts. So thank you so much. I believe we will just have learn the habit of checking even more physically. 50% is more physical checks and physical tests for even bearings which are smooth, swiveling, turning, and given grip, If something is really burned out, maybe has undergone very high temperatures, and the covers of that machine, let's say ultrasound machines, are even wavy because of the heat, then you don't go plugging in a machine to power which is looking like that. It means something might be wrong somewhere. So engineers, I believe we will learn to use our soft and hard skills in inspecting the donated equipment. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you very much, Engineer Recruit. That is well put. And maybe one more thing I would like to know, but may I just ask Khaled to come in on this? How do you think should be able to handle missing accessories or outdated parts? I know that there can be cases whereby we receive a donation we can have things at that particular time, but then with time we'll end up missing some parts. Let's say the parts are outdated, or maybe we need to go through procurement process for those parts. How do you think we should be able to handle the missing accessories or outdated parts? Over to you, Khaled.
Yes, hi engineers, yes. So
Yeah.
the way Janet has said, I'm Khaled Wahungu from IC Kiwa Kenya Kijabe. Yes, at some point we have been experienced this problem about when sometimes a machine comes, maybe like an anesthesia machines or like a ventilator, it arrives in the facility. But at some point when we are doing the inspection, just like the engineer could has said, once the machine is received, has to be done the inspections, it has to be done the electro safety tests, and has to be confirmed that it should be according to the EAC regulation. So on our side, like this one, like for example, at some point, you normally face those challenges, but at some point, some of the accessories, like they're normally available, like they're locally available, like in Kenya, for example. But at some points, like if they are not available, like so that one, like it normally delay us. For example, doing the installation of the machines testings. So we are like for us, we are currently like advice like before we normally advise like maybe before receiving an equipment, a biomed has to be conducted, like before even getting a report, like you have a donation from a biomed from an medical equipment. So a biomed has to be conducted, because then it is good to have like your own checklist. Like before these machines is being brought to your facility, you have to be like a checklist or a policy that this equipment has to be have this like these spare parts. The equipment has to have these accessories, so that the equipment should not come to your facility. Then you just put it there and start staying there for almost like even for almost 2 years because of some of the accessories. So we as biomeds, I think I advise that like it's better to come up with like for us the normally we normally do. We come up with a policy that whenever we receive an equipment, it should, for example, being provided with the spares. We should be able to get the spares either locally or maybe to be shipped from abroad for the next maybe 1 year or 2 years. Then another thing that we should put in mind, like even although Engineer Good has also talked about it, like the identify the lifespan of the machine. Like for example, a machine, you may get a donation from a machine, but you may not know how long the machine has been used in maybe use or the place that it has come. So the best thing, like getting at least a history, like if it's an anesthesia machine, maybe it has been used for almost 2 years or 3 years in abroad. So like when it's according to the manufacturer, it has said that anesthesia should work like 10 years. So you should be able to know the remaining years the machine should, you should be able to use the machine, so that we should not reach at a point where the machine that the machine breaks down without you knowing. So at least that one is also the best thing, knowing putting your knowing the machine how long it has been used, so that you can just approximate the lifespan that you are going to stay with that machine. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Khaled. I think at this point I would like to move on to the commissioning and integration. So here we want to look at what are the things that we're supposed to do as engineers if you now want to deliver the equipment, let's say to a specific ward, and also what are the key things that we need to look at when we want to integrate that machine or equipment to the standards of the facility that we're working in, because it's not every equipment that would fit in the setup that we are. Like it has already been pointed out, in some countries we look at the power ratings, we look at the water supply, we look at the infrastructures that we have, we look at a couple of things that a facility where we're working in or where is supposed to receive that donation has. And now maybe I should just ask Kenneth. Kenneth, I know you did not do the introductions. Before you answer my question, you can just do a little bit of introduction so that everybody gets to know you. And like I've said, I will repeat to say, please make sure we turn on our cameras for the audience to also see who is speaking. And then maybe if you want to shut it down, we can shut it off along the way. So to Kenneth, how can these hospitals or facility where we're coming from evaluate whether a donation aligns with their clinical and maintenance capabilities or capacities? And you can comment on this. How can the facilities where all these engineers are coming from evaluate whether a donation aligns with their clinical and maintenance capabilities? You can continue.
However, my name is Kenneth, and I work with CHAK. CHAK is Christian Health Association of Kenya, based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a biomed as well. Thank you for those who have done those nice presentation, including Engineer Rugut. I think we have common or similarity because we've been working together with Joseph Rugut for quite some time. And I don't want to repeat what my colleagues have said. CHAK, most of CHAK members, they normally depend, most of them, they normally depend on donated medical equipments. And when I'm talking of donated medical equipments, some of them, they come as new equipments, while others are second-hand. And sometimes back, there used to be no criteria of when one is bringing those equipments, because most of, and even up to date, most of our biomedical engineers or technicians, they don't have capacity to test the quality of some of these equipments. I want to give two examples. Take, for example, an oxygen concentrator. An oxygen concentrator, I've seen a number of oxygen concentrators being donated to our facilities. And when you check that oxygen concentrator, the output concentration, it is very low. Though the machine is not showing or not giving any alarm or error, but the concentration of oxygen is very low. Two, when you see the mileage of oxygen concentrator, it's reading something above 30,000. Most of the time, those equipments are like they're being dumped into that country because they will only serve you for a short while and then they die off. Here in Kenya, we are normally guided by. Sorry, I wanted to give the second example. The second example is a fluoroscopy unit or a CM machine. There is somewhere I went, a hospital, and the biomedical engineer there told me, you know what, this CM machine is not working these days, and it was a donated machine, and he decided to go ahead and switch on the machine and did some exposures, radiation exposures. So we were not capturing, the machine was not capturing anything on the screen. And fortunately enough, I had a survey meter. I decided to check whether the machine was giving radiation. And to my surprise, there was a lot of radiation that machine was producing, though the camera was not registering anything. So what I want to say here is, I think we also need to empower our technical people with measuring equipments, measuring gadgets. If we can be able to have a survey meter for those who are doing X-ray, I think it can help a lot, even when you are survey meter or KV meter and the like, because every time you repair or service a machine, it is always good to check the parameters, the accuracy, the output. Then for things like oxygen concentrators, if you have an oxygen analyzer, you can be able to tell that this machine is giving light oxygen, output of oxygen. Here in Kenya, we are normally guided by PPB. Every time we are importing the donated medical equipments. We normally get guidelines from Pharmacy and Poison Board. And I wanted to share a few things. I had downloaded the guideline, and maybe I can read a few lines. Part 3, requirements for donation of medical devices. One, a donation for medical devices and IVDs application shall be accompanied by the following documents. One, cover letter provided by the recipient organization specifying their need and in relevance to the disease pattern in the country. This may be waived in acute emergencies, and whether the donated health products and technologies align with the stated need. There are quite a number. In exceptional cases where a cover letter may not be feasible, the board may consider a signed contract or memorandum of understanding between the recipient and sponsor or donor, authorized, signed, and dated. B, quality statement, declaration signed and dated by an authorized person from the donor confirming the donated health products are of good quality, safe, and efficacious. B, certificate. I don't know. I don't think I need to read everything here, but here in Kenya, we normally have guidelines from PPB. Every time you want to import these products, they will request, because they don't want, they are against dumping. Some of the donors, they normally bring things just like, it's like they're dumping them to Kenyan market. So to curb that, PPB has come up with guidelines to guide people on those procedures. I don't know whether I have responded well. Janet, back to you, please.
Thank you very much. That's well put. And I think as biomedical engineers and technicians, we just need to be kept up to date. We need to be updated, because there are times that we do have these policies, we do have these standards, but then we end up not knowing that they exist. And at the end of the day, we keep on blaming maybe management, but maybe there's something that we as engineers would have done something about it. And one thing that I also want to point it out is that it's not every time that the management might know some of these things. It should also come from us taking an initiative and letting them know. I'll give an example. There was a time that we visited one of the facilities in Malawi, and they told us to say, back in the days, we could receive a container of medical equipment, and at the end of the day, we're not able to assess. We would just receive, and then later when we want to use it, we will notice that maybe the power ratings are not the same. The equipment is, let's say, using 110 volts, but then what we need here is 230, 240. But then later on, because of the team, the technical team, they had to approach management to say, from now onwards, before you even take the equipment from these containers, let's try to assess. When we assess, then we approve. And they would even say that after doing that approach, as we speak right now, there's been a little bit of an improvement from the area happening. So I think this is also something that we as engineers were supposed to take an initiative. If we can't do it, we shouldn't expect that the management and the people in the top positions always do things right. So I think let me invite Khalid to just take us through maybe some of the common challenges that you have encountered on the donations that we have received. I know some of them have been pointed out, but I want to understand that what are some of the real challenges that we're facing and how can we overcome them? And as we're looking at that, because some of these things have already been mentioned, how can biomedical engineers and technicians diplomatically push back on unsuitable donations? Because we have pointed that these other donations may not be worthy and comfortable or suitable with our settings. So then what do we do to push back those unsuitable donations? Over to Khalid.
So I was saying, yeah, so like for us, like currently in Kijabe, like previous years, we were experiencing so many challenges, especially for the donation of medical equipment. So we have been trying, at least we see how these challenges can be resolved so that it should not be something that can be recurring. Especially, for example, like previously we were getting just like any medical equipment supply from our donors, just any equipment, be it different, be it a Draeger, be it from Mindray. But currently, we developed a policy that, for example, we will be using certain types of medical equipment. Like, for example, like in theater, you find like we only have the Draeger Apollo anesthesia machines. Because previously you have found like we may, like for us, we normally have 4 operating rooms, yes? So we may find that we have a mixed, previously we had a mixed types of the medical equipment, different types of the like anesthesia machines. But as for now, yeah, we try to, so that because of the training purposes to the clinicians, to the anesthesiologists, we prefer like just to have just one brand of one brand of the machines, be it the anesthesia, be it the patient monitor, be it the imaging serum, so that to avoid those challenges, like for example, the training for the clinicians, the anesthetists, the doctors, so that they get used to only one type of medical equipment so that when you do the training, just do it then, but not doing the training. You train this type of a medical machine. Next time you train another one. That one poses a lot of problems, and at least currently we are trying to solve them. But previously we had that challenge. Another challenge, maybe the second one, was like we were receiving the equipments that are incompatible with our systems. Like for example, like for us, we normally have we normally have a systems called electronic medical records. Like when you take, like I think Engineer Okuds knows even our X-ray machine. Normally, there's a time he was coming. So when you take the X-ray machines, those pictures are automatically uploaded to the electronic medical systems. Then they can be viewed by even the doctors whenever they are in the systems. So like previous, like the machine that you had, when you receive your machines, you realize that this machine is not compatible with your system, your electronic medical systems. So that one, for now, it's trying to be resolved, but previously it was a challenge, because when you receive just any medical equipment, it will not be compatible with your systems. Another one, although Engineer Good had also talked about it, was about the power incompatibility, whereby our medical machines, you get most of the donations from US. So most of the machines you realize that there are 110 equipments instead of 240 volts. There are 110 volts equipments. So when you get them, you'll have to improvise. You have your own transformer. So you'll have to just install your step down transformer from 240 to 110, so that, because you realize most of the equipments are 110 equipments. So instead of like rejecting the machine, you have to install a step down transformer from 240 to 110, and we'll have now the power installation to the whole building, so that you solve the issue, because our equipment use mostly 110 equipments. Maybe the last challenge, that's the last challenge that we are facing even from now, as for now, although I had already mentioned about it, was about the history of the machine. Because at some point you realize you receive, like for example, an X-ray machine or an imaging CM, but you don't know how the machine has been used in the place that it was used before. Like maybe the tube has been used for a longer time, but you don't know how the duration that you're going to use it before you dispose it. So that is also has been a great challenge for us, but at least you are trying to sort it out, so that before maybe you get a donation of the equipments, maybe from US, at least we have the information of the history of the machine before you get it. Yeah, I think
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Khaled. I've seen a hand from Engineer Good. Do you have anything to add or say?
I will only add one word. Thank you. In the practical solutions, I believe in solutions also. So sometimes I know my colleague has mentioned about accessories which are missing, and I really believe right now the earth or the world is connected. The world is now networked. We have so many bodies which are coordinating spare parts for equipments, and even our Konza app and Oxygen Alliance. So I believe in putting an inventory. So previously, during the analog stages, like let's say 1990s, we used to have a program where we were not supposed to have a donor donate a single equipment. We used to have what we call I rob Peter, pay Paul. So you bring two machines which are similar, then you rob one. To make the other one work. So we had this big workshop, and it was a very big workshop. It was like a go down. And so we used to have to handle a machine for 2 months until we are so sure that it can work steadily before we could deploy it. So that was one solution. The second one is the power issue that has been mentioned. It is not just American power, that is 110 volts. We also have people who tend not to put our East African power, which is UK based, which is 415 volts. So you get this wonderful X-ray machine from China, even if it is not a donation, it can also cover other machines that we buy. Then they produce a machine at 380 volts AC. So you just have to buy again a stabilizer. So everything has a solution, yes, but let us do what we call inventory, so that people know what you have. Secondly, let us do what we call consultation. Consult the brochures, consult the manuals which are now online. I'm happy that a colleague is here, is in Tanzania. There is a online manual website that was developed at KCMC, and it has been of great help. So all those names, with network as biomedical engineers, we are able to lead each other to solutions, and there are so many other online. So let us know there are practical solutions to common challenges. I just wanted to assure the biomedical engineers that they are not alone. We are here. Another colleague is in Lilongwe. I remember being at Lilongwe, and there was a cardiac team that was coming to do cardiac screening. And while they were testing the machine, they plugged in a machine that was using 110 volts. 2 ultrasound machines, echo, were plugged into 240, and they were meant to be 110. And so the cardiac team had to be told to pack another ultrasound machine to bring with them. So it is not easy to face these challenges, but it is everywhere among us. But let us notice our problems, let us record them, let us share experiences so that our colleague engineers learn from them instead of also banning another ultrasound machine.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know that our time is almost running out, and there are hands. Please, I have taken note of those hands. But before we go to the questions, maybe Kenneth, can you just tell us in a minute, if you can manage, is there a possibility of pushing back and suitable donations, or how can BMETs diplomatically push back? This question wasn't answered, and I would like to know, and I know maybe there are also a couple of people who would want to know more about this. Just in a minute, please shed more light on this, and then we'll go to the questions. Thank you.
Donations are still there, and some of them are good donations. However, we need to know how do we sustain these donations. In fact, when my colleagues were talking, I was trying to think, what if I have a machine? Like now I have a bone scanner machine. Someone decided to, it came from America, US, and someone decided to plug it straight and it blew off the circuit board, the power supply and the like. And the machine is just down there. Now, I understand we have some sites, and for a long time we've been using the Frank's workshop to get some manuals, installation manuals and the like. What about spares? Because sometimes even when I am also dismantling an equipment, sometimes I normally harvest those circuit boards and keep them somewhere safe. Are we also able to put together what we have? We network, since we look for a good platform whereby we can network, and maybe we can get solution to our donated medical equipments. So what I can say is some of I don't want to condemn donated medical equipment. Some of them are very good and performing, and they have been supporting our member health units for a long time now. So I support donated medical equipments. However, we need also to be careful. We are the eye of the hospital, the biomeds, we are the eye of the hospital. We need to guide them and direct them and advise them on the best donation to choose. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for our panelists. You have elaborated a couple of areas. At this point, may I please take questions? I know there's a question from Diana. Diana, you can unmute yourself and speak. But maybe before you speak, may I just highlight to say that we have an app called the BME Kwanza app, and this app is available on Google Play Store. You can download it if you don't have. You'll find manuals and also the questions, answers from people across the region. If you have any question or any technical need, please put it on the BME Kwanza app and you'll be supported. Over to you, Diana. You can unmute yourself and speak.
Yes, I'm Nakacha Dana from Uganda, a biomed. I'm just inquiring, is there a way a biomed can be included during the donation process from the country of origin, whereby we are finding a problem of dumping those things here and we don't have space to keep those things? Those donations are becoming a problem to most of the facilities here in Uganda because of not being involved in the process of donating them to the country, because we just receive and then you're expected to install. You don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Your question is clear. Our engineers on the panel, may you please take that question. Is there a possibility or a chance for the BAMEDs to be involved in the donations even before they come from the origin or the countries where they're coming from? Engineer Goods or anyone, may you please take that question? Thank you. Yes, Lloyd.
All right. So on this, my thoughts are that I think most of the countries have been yet recognized the work of biomedical engineers, or maybe the value of biomedical engineers. So what I would say right now is, I think we have to fight this fight together. Like, we should make sure that the management up there, like the government officials, know that the biomedical engineers are a crucial part in acquiring this biomedical equipment. So I would say that it's actually a fight that we have to indulge ourselves in. Like, we have to intentionally fight so that we should be in the seat that make sure that we are making the decisions of what equipment is coming to our country. So yeah, that's what I would say. Maybe my colleagues would also have something to say as well.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. I've seen a hand from Kenneth. Kenneth, you can come in.
Briefly, sometimes it depends on individual facility, health facility. There are some hospitals that value the biomedical engineers very much. And when every time they want to make a decision during the procurement of these equipment, they normally involve them. They normally seek guidance from them. And in such a case, if they come to you, it is always important to arm yourself with information. I think you also need to be well armed with information. Get to know what is being imported. What are the specifications? Go download if you're in Kenya, kindly download the PPB requirements for donation and equip yourself. And I don't know about the other countries, but I do believe there is something, a policy or something. If you are not recognizing your facility, it is the high time start pushing things. You can do a report, you can do SOPs, try to push them to the management, let them see that you have something, you can advise like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I take a hand from Ronald, just give me a minute. There was a comment from Hagos. He's from Ethiopia, and he was asking if you could please share any soft copies that you, our panelists, have related to acceptance guidelines, especially for donated medical equipment. So in the case, whether it is from a specific country, like you said, Kenneth, from Kenya, Malawi, and all other countries, or even a general one, I've seen Dr. Dalit shared something from the WHO. May you please also do the same so that people can also refer something on our topic today. Ronald, you have a hand. May you please unmute yourself and speak. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening to you all. This is Ronald Agola from Uganda, currently working in the Quality Chemical Industries Limited, one of the leading pharmaceuticals in the region. Now, before I ask the questions, I would like to also give insights or comment on Diana's question. So as we speak, in Uganda, we have what we call National Drug Authority Bill, and that's 1995, that provide the highlights and guidelines on medical devices management, or human resource of medical devices, and also Ministry of Health. So as I speak, the National Drug and Health Product Authority Bill 2025 has been tabled on the floor of Parliament this year, 3rd September, and bounced back to public to stakeholders to acquire the views. And if you look at the bill, it had highlighted that pharmacists are the people supposed to manage medical devices, and these are people who don't have technical knowledge on as medical devices are concerned. So I'm very happy that we were able to reach to biomedical engineers in the country. And as I speak, I act as a General Secretary, Association of Biomedical Engineers and Technicians in the country. And we're given a platform to present on the floor of Parliament our views on human resource of medical devices, regulations up to the manufacture of medical devices. So we're hopeful that all this will going to be considered. I still have a supplement on Mr. or Engineer Kenneth. As far as testing of medical devices are concerned, one of his views is that engineers don't have, he highlighted that we lack technical skills sometimes. I concur with him. And also, as one of the things I needed to highlight is that in medical devices or hospital space, you notice that we still we don't have right tools to enable us carry out to these tests, which is one of the challenges. Comparing hospitals and then pharmaceutical, you realize in pharmaceutical industries or pharmaceutical organizations, they already have these guidelines given by WHO ISO standards that before you can use a device, for this case, analytical devices, they must undergo the processes, what you call qualification processes, which involves all these verifications, all these kind of tests, and you must have all the kind of the tools or instruments to enable you carry out the following test. So my view is, as biomedical engineers, we need to come up and also educate these engineers in the space, having these CPD trainings, and also involving in the management in space to understand what biomedical engineers and technicians need on the ground to execute their job. So they need human resource to support them. Thank you so much. But my request is one is that do we have time to also have the entire talk on the process of procuring medical devices and then retirement of medical devices is a challenge in Uganda and East Africa. Take an instance of Mulago hospitals here. There are a lot of medical devices just put outside. So my point is, can we educate these engineers and managements on how best we can retire these equipments? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ronald. I'm just glad that you've pointed something to do with procurement. I was about to say the same thing, that our next webinar, which will be on the 30th of October, will cover the gaps that are there in the procurement of medical equipment. And it is also going to be a panel discussion. So please be on the lookout. We're having this webinar on October 30. Diana, I don't know if your question was answered because we're about to wrap it up.
Yes, thank you so much. My colleague from Uganda. Thank you. Yes, I've been answered. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We had a couple of comments in the chat. I'll just read them through and then we'll close the call. I would like to thank everyone who joined and who stayed to this long. So I think Monica was actually pointing out to say most of the times, especially in Kenya, you find that the higher officials in the Ministry of Health are the ones being contacted, and also they're the ones that also receive these medical equipment. And so it becomes very difficult for biomeds now to get more involved. So he was just pointing it out to say most of the times these donations are coming in and it's the higher or top officials who are involved. I think, like the panelists elaborated, it is just important for us to take a step forward. We need to advocate for this. We need to make ourselves known in the facilities where we're working, because sometimes it's not because they wouldn't want us to be involved, but maybe they haven't seen the need for us to be involved or the need for us to be available in their meetings or in the decision making when it comes to this donated equipment. At this point, I would just like to ask our panelists, more specifically Damien, you had to speak at the very beginning of the call. If you have anything to say before we close. Damien, any closing remarks?
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Janet, and the rest of the audience. Basically, the biomed fraternity is not the eye of the hospital. It is the heart of the hospitals. It's the biomed fraternity that will determine the best spares, and they have the right to reject and prevent our countries becoming dumping stocks. Therefore, please do your job properly. Let us be in the front line. Let us tell our bosses, whether medical officers, medicals, whoever who heads our institute, who heads our facilities, the reality. We should be in the position to reject things. Otherwise, our low and medium developed countries, in short, the poor countries, will be dumping stocks of items that has no more use in Europe or in other countries. So let us say, open our eyes. However, also leaders should now start joining hands in informational policies in our countries where there are no policies to reject it, to accept this biomedical equipment. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. we are going to paste a link in the chat. We'd just like you to give us your feedback based on today's webinar and even the upcoming webinars. If you have any suggestions, please reach us out at info@oxygenalliance.org. And like we have mentioned, we have a platform. There's a website for the Oxygen Alliance. We have a YouTube channel. You can also search Oxygen Alliance on YouTube. You can also find us on the BME WhatsApp. Please make sure you email us, or you post or paste your questions on the BME WhatsApp if you need any help or clarification. There's a form in the chat, and like I've said, please make sure you fill the form. For those of us who have been with us throughout this year from January to now, and even as we're looking at the end of this year, we really appreciate your presence, and we hope that together we can help in building a very comfortable working environment for biomedical engineers across the region. Reaching this far, I would like to thank our panelists, Engineer Woods, Kenneth, Palette, Lloyd, and also Damien for taking your time to be here today. We don't take it for granted. You are very busy people, but we really appreciate your presence. And also all the country representative folks in Alliance, Dr. David, I saw you, and all other people across the region, we really appreciate your presence. Till next time, bye from the Oxygen Alliance.
If you have comments and or questions, drop them in the comment section below or write to us, info@oxygenalliance.org. Remember to like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell.